Hello everybody and welcome to this new episode of Books Up Close. My name is Chris Lloyd, I teach literature at the University of Hertfordshire and I'm here to bring you reviews of books that I'm reading. Today we are talking about Brit Bennett's novel The Vanishing Half from 2020. I've only just gotten around to making this video and yes, I'm a little bit behind the curve, but this book is obviously wonderful, such a good read, and if you're watching this you've probably already read it and you have your thoughts about it. But I wanted to make sure I put this review out there because I think it's a really, really great read. So for those of you that haven't read it, the story follows twin sisters Desiree and Stella Vignes, who come from a small town in Louisiana called Mallard. And the book kind of jumps from the 50s to 60s up to the 80s, really. We have these kind of jumps forward through time, where we follow the two sisters as they move on kind of diverging paths. So the sisters are African American, and Mallard itself is a town that was founded in the 1800s by light-skinned African-American people. So the idea of colorism kind of really starts off the book and sets the tone for what follows. And what we find is that Desiree and Stella one day leave town and move to New Orleans, and while there they go their separate ways. Stella passes as white for the rest of her life, and Desiree doesn't, and the book follows these two sisters as they move through the world in a kind of different racialized way. So at the beginning of the book we see Desiree coming back to Mallard after a long time away because she is in an abusive relationship, so she brings her daughter Jude home with her and they live with her mother. So from there the book really starts thinking about generations. So as we skip ahead in time, we follow Jude as she grows up and finds a boyfriend and finds work. We also follow Stella's daughter Kennedy as she moves through the world. But obviously in that case, Kennedy is under the impression she is white because that's what her mother has told her, and Stella also hasn't told her husband that she is African American. So we've got these kind of dual stories of characters thinking through their racialized being in the world. And the storylines come together when Jude and Kennedy meet in Los Angeles, and then things start to kind of connect and unravel from there. The whole book really is concerned with the idea of kind of doubling of twins, of performance also, and kind of visual signifiers. So the whole book really foregrounds quite explicitly actually the kind of making and remaking and rethinking of identity and what that means and how one embodies it and lives it in the world. And it's obviously doing that along a kind of backdrop of late 20th century US history. So we get hints of larger kind of civil rights and social justice movements in the kind of background, but that's not as prominent as the storylines of these families. While many reviewers have noticed the links between this novel and its precursors, so things like Nella Larsen's Passing from 1920 or some of Toni Morrison's work, I think Bennett is a more kind of conventional storyteller, if you like. She uses this third-person narration, which is kind of omniscient, all-knowing, but is focalized through each of the characters in each of the chapters. So we really kind of just delve directly into their minds and we kind of see and think through their perspective, and this makes for a very kind of pleasurable reading experience, right? You just pick it up and you kind of sink into it very easily. There's no real kind of trouble at the level of the sentence. You kind of get straight into the character's mind frame, and I think that makes it such a easy and generative reading experience, at least for me. But she's not doing the kinds of linguistic or aesthetic or formal innovative work that people like Morrison and even Larsen were doing. I think she's kind of developing a different kind of literary strategy. Though there are kind of echoes of those other books, there are smashed objects in The Vanishing Half that call back to a particular scene in passing. The idea of Mallard as a town kind of created through colorism, references back I think to Morrison's Paradise. These seem to be quite explicit references, but the book is all of its own. I think Bennett has a very distinctive and rich realist voice. She's writing in a kind of realist novel tradition, but thinking through the complexities of identity across the 20th century and even before that and beyond that. I've not yet read her first novel, The Mothers, although it's now on my list because I think she's a really great writer. But this book was such a pleasurable read, I would recommend it to anyone. For that reason, I'm giving this 5 out of 5. I think it is great. It's thoughtful, it's really carefully done, everything is treated really beautifully, there's some great insights. If you've read this, please do comment below, tell me what you think. Please also like this video, share it with your friends, tell people about the channel, and please then do subscribe if you haven't already and ring the bell for notifications. If there are other books you think I should be reading or looking out for, please do let me know in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you next time in the next video. Take care and keep reading.